Hi guys, and welcome back. This is Dream Shipwrecked, and we're going to do something a little bit different today. The next few levels are going through mazes and a short jaunt across a small level. It's kind of interesting, but generally speaking, it's a lot of mazes, a lot of stuff that looks very similar to everything else, and therefore isn't very interesting to watch. So instead of doing regular commentary, I will be reading out the journal in the then paper manual that was kept by a Dr. Wilson, my mistake, sorry, who tried to help Alice to reach out to her. This is very long, so it will probably take, a decent amount of time to go through, but we'll see what we can do. Now, most entries in this journal have a date. Quite a few of them in the beginning have a postscript later dated. When I read the postscript, I will say that postscript something new date. So, let's get started. Background story. 4 November 1864. Interesting point there, 1864. It's a lot earlier than you would have thought for, this kind of thing, especially considering the ages and times of Madness Returns, but that's beyond this or that. Received confirmation from the superintendent that I will be given the opportunity to treat a very troubled and difficult patient. Dubious honor. Her name is Alice, and her prognosis is not promising. After looking at her file, I'm astonished that she survived this long. She's been nearly comatose for a year. Postscript. Would I have admitted her had I known then what I know now? 3/10/73. That would be 9 years later. 11 November 1864. Mute on a stretcher, with her head curiously bandaged, Alice seems to cling precariously to life. Her burns have healed remarkably in the years since the fire, but she languishes in a deep trance-like dementia. It's as if the blaze consumed her senses wholesale. Deaf, dumb, and blind to all stimulation, she's a fair match for the infirmary's gloom. In a frenzied instant, a cankerous feline pounced on Alice when she was about to be carried inside. Startled by the cat's yowl, the bearers lost their grip and dropped the wretched girl to the ground. Most curious to behold, the cat stood atop Alice as if claiming her as territorial right, or as if defending the rodent captured in the day's hunt from other hungry predators. Only when an orderly threatened it with a stick did the creature scamper into a nearby hedge. Even then, the cat crouched beneath a shrubbery, with eyes agape it fixed on Alice, as if it had some vital interest in our proceedings. Postscript. It pays to heed the feline, something that I've learned over the years. 21/10/73. Again, 9 years later. 14 November 1864. Her one possession is a toy, a sooty, stuffed rabbit whose single button eye dangles from a loose thread. Plaything from her time of innocence and her only link to life before the fire. The rabbit is now the sentinel to Alice's deepening dementia. Postscript. The rabbit may prove a valuable instrument for shock therapy. I should have noticed it sooner. 21/10/73. 8 December 1864. When I hold a flame to her eye, nothing in the vacuous gaze betrays the faintest glimmer of response. I clap a pair of blocks at her ear. Nothing. Neither her sight nor her hearing appears to be damaged. Still, she registers nothing at all. The rumor, passed on by Reverend Model amongst others, alleges that she feels nothing, not pain or fear or other torments, is neither credible nor kind. Still, she is far, far gone, this one. 10 December 1864. Though she appears weak, she must have a strong constitution to have survived until now. Her fever persists, her breathing heaves violently at times, and even after more than a year of healing, burns so massive commonly cause great discomfort. You never imagine she's in any distress, though. The way she just lies there, as lifeless as the British Museum mummy. I dare say, however, that I'll stir her from her dreamery, even if the response is involuntary. I'll begin tomorrow with a steady treatment of cold plasters and bloodletting. The bleeding might cause some relief to her dementia. I also have a new shock apparatus that I'd like to try on her. I'm curious to see how she reacts to this treatment. 6 January 1865. Another patient died last night. I've been treating her with the same potion I intend for Alice. I've been quite certain she was improving with each subsequent vial, so this development is quite vexing. Perhaps the stronger mixture was too much for her chronically weak chest. A little more experimentation is in order before I feed this serum to Alice. Postscript. A little less laudum and a little more camphor might have spared her. 13/12/73. 23 February 1865. Through the windows of my laboratory, I can glimpse the garden ward. Nurse D is leading a group of children to the airing room. I listen to great shuffling of feet on the pebble path. Will Alice, I wonder, ever stroll those grounds with the others? Will she ever regain her senses? Or, for the rest of her days, will she remain cloistered behind those thick gray walls? Based on her progress so far, it seems futile to hold out much hope for a cure. Postscript. Little could I have imagined her mind would eventually gambol in unimaginable forests and gardens. 23 of March, 1865. Nothing seems to aggravate the girl. I've tried restraints, handcuffs, leg locks, and straitjackets. I've tried solitary confinement. On the other hand, I've allowed her to smell freedom, leaving her for hours at a time unattended in the garden. Yet nothing stirs her. I still have a number of methods, some of which I haven't engaged since the old days. But I'm beginning to doubt anything can bring her about a change in this one. 1st of April, 1865. Each year with this peculiar day I pause, exactly at noon according to my pocket watch, to ponder the absurdity of such a day. Is it not ironic that we should celebrate a holiday dedicated to fools? The girl has shut down completely. If it were possible, I'd say that Alice has retreated even further into what the European practitioners of psychiatry call her psyche. I'll keep trying different methods, but unless there's some sort of marked improvement, there's no reason to hope. I'll document progress, if indeed there is any progress. 7th of September, 1873. This is several years later. After years of slumber, she chooses to speak using a picture, a drawing of some sort of cat. Really, though, it's nothing like any cat I've ever seen. It's postscript. Even a drawing so bizarre couldn't foreshadow the imagining of things to come. 9/3/74, the following year. 10th of September, 1873. While Alice napped following her afternoon sedation, Nurse D took it upon herself to replace the rabbit's missing eye. Even after living so many years in an infirm population, it can still surprise me when a seemingly trivial thing can trigger such a remarkable reaction. Alice woke from her nap and began to sob hysterically. "Tell me, child, what's wrong?" pleaded Nurse D. "What is it, dear?" In an instant of self-awareness, Alice spoke of poetry. Into the hole again we hurried along the way, into once glorious garden, now seeped in dark decay. She continued to cry, and it was only when Nurse D plucked the newly stitched eye from the rabbit's face that Alice fell back into her customary state. Postscript. With such behavior, maybe it was a mistake to still those waters and awaken her. 29/3/74. I don't know whether to cheer at this response, any response, or grow alarmed over the intensity of her emotional outburst. At least we discovered one thing: she can speak. 11 September 1873. When she is so inclined, Alice can draw. This morning I was greeted by another of Alice's artistic phantasmagorias. What is it that she's rendering? I can only think it's some depiction of her nightmare of hell. 15 October 1873. By the way, we are now in the Wings of Steam section.
Like a falcon.
This one, we're gonna basically just float along around in corners.
Like a falcon.
It's kind of just a nice breakup from the, regular maze activities. The only real difficult thing is to, as you'll see in a few seconds, not get knocked out of the sky by the side geysers, but other than that, it's nothing too difficult. I do like how her dress apparently is capable of flight, and bam. Yeah, hopefully you saw those in the wall, right? You saw them all. And past we go. It's just a waiting game, there's no real platforming to it, so we'll continue. Let's see, where were we? 15th of October, 1873. Approaching Alice's room, I heard the muffled sounds of laughter. A pair of orderlies were cursing her and threatening her with the leather straps. It's easy to see this pair was weaned from the same teat. This is of course referring to the two orderlies that make up the nightmare version of Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Alice didn't respond to their tomfoolery, and the orderlies were not impressed by my reprimand. Good help is so hard to find. 18th of October, 1873. The superintendent paid a visit. His smell of his perfumed handshake is still in my nostrils. He doesn't visit often, but he does arrive unannounced and remains overlong. Typically, he flounces through the infirmary, pretending to be interested in this case or that. This time, he requested to see Alice and asked for the leeches. When she refused to stir, the superintendent stretched wide his mouth with a yawn of infinite boredom. When I displayed some of her recent artwork, the superintendent's attention was caught again if someone had jabbed his fatty palms with a hot poker. Postscript: he was in a very agitated state when he departed. 7/4/74. That, I believe, is the nightmare version of the Mad Hatter. Although it'd be interesting, we think it might be more the Doctor. See you next time.